Hey everyone, Johnny Death Jazz here. In this video today, I'm going to go through my base camp ride. Firstly, I just need to say thank you for everyone for the support and encouragement I've had over the past few weeks. It's been amazing, all the private comments I've had, comments on my video, comments over Facebook. I've been blown away with the generosity of some people as well. People have given me lights, spare parts, some nutrition. It's been amazing. I'm honestly speechless. Thank you so much to everyone. I really appreciate it. So the clip we have in the background is the segment that I used. I'll start with the downhill, then we'll go into the climb. Let's start talking about the hill. It's a 900 meter segment on Quarry Road, Dural. I wanted to do more there, but the hills don't work for me. I needed just a straight climb with no downhill. The segment gives me 83 meters of elevation with an average gradient of 9.1%. Max gradient on this hill is between 25 and 30, depending where you look. There is a few steep hills on it, right in mine because I could stand up and pedal and stretch my legs. I had to complete it 48 times, and I did a total of 88 kilometers. Total climb was 4,424 meters. Probably got a bit more because I did go from the car and back, which is another 4Ks. I took 9 hours and 37 minutes moving time. Total time was 10 hours 44. I did take too much breaks, and I'll get into that soon. I burned 8,427 calories. Started the run at 6:55 a.m. sunrise. I didn't take lights with me. That's the only time I could ride. And I finished exactly on sunset. I was pretty much riding back to the car in the dark. My average climbing speed is about 6.5 kilometers an hour. It did drop below 5 at one stage. My max got up to about 7.5. The downhill speed mostly sat around low 30s. The food I took with me was roughly 3 Cliff Bars, 3 gels. I took Hydrolyte Enduro water, which made a big difference. Also brought a few bananas and a peanut butter and jam sandwich. My ride started quite well. I was out there by myself. It was 5 degrees in the morning, but that didn't worry me. I was full of adrenaline. I knew I had a big job ahead of me. There was a few riders out there that cheered me on when I told them what I was doing. There was also a lot of trail runners out there this time of year, and that helped me as well. I had a good base on me of riding for 6+ hours, so this was no trouble at all. Once I got to the halfway point, which hit about 5 hours, I sort of learned pretty fast that the food choices I made weren't the best. I wasn't eating enough. 1 Cliff Bar or 1 gel an hour really wasn't enough. It should have been 3 times that. So it was really hard trying to keep up. And once I started to slip, as you guys probably know, it's really hard to get back on. It's not more that I didn't bring enough food, it's more that I didn't eat enough food. I underestimated how much food I would need. On the small rides, 4 to 6 hours that I had been doing for training, towards the end of those rides, I can slow down on my food, and I will be hungry, but I'm not continuing past the 6-hour mark. So I don't really feel the effects. But this, pushing past 5-6 hours, I did realize the effects of being hungry, and my body started catching up with me. So I quickly realized I didn't actually eat enough. I had to increase my food intake halfway through. Once the halfway point hit, into the third quarter, I did start taking too many breaks. I did feel tired because I didn't have enough food. My carbohydrates should have been between 60 and 80 per hour. I doubt I was pushing 20 or 30. So about halfway through, I really had to catch up with the food. I took a lot of breaks, which really slowed me down. The ride should have taken 8 or 9 hours, but it almost pushed into 11. I rested, ate, thought I could relax. I have read from people that have done this that breaks really do start to add up fast, and they were adding up fast for me. But like I said, I had my buddy there. He was the Sherpa. He really got me going. He made sure that I kept going, that I could not get off the bike, even when times were tough. He gave me extra food. He rode to the top of the hill, filled my water bottles. If I was halfway up the hill in pain and I needed some food, I needed some energy, I could ask him to go straight up the hill as fast as he can, fill up food for me, fill up bottles for me, and have it ready and waiting for me, even bring food down to me if I needed it last minute. I did learn a lot from this. I had the knowledge, but I just didn't know how to implement it. And that was my biggest problem with this ride. Now coming into the last third of my ride, I was faced with a dilemma. I was going a bit slow because of all my breaks and my nutrition had dropped, but I finally caught back up on that. The problem was I was running out of light. I didn't bring any lights. I had about 11 hours of light this day. I predicted the ride would be between 8 and 10 hours. I did take too many breaks, as I said. During the last third, I had to calculate in my head that I needed to do about 6 reps an hour. At the pace I was going, I was only doing about 4. I had really dropped down. If I wanted to finish this, I had to really start pedaling fast. I believe it was something between 21 and 17 laps to go. That's about 3 or 4 hours. I had to almost push max power and go to 6 runs an hour to finish it. If I didn't finish it and I got 1 run short in the dark, I would have been screwed. Even though I could climb in the dark, going down in the dark would have been a nightmare. Plus I had to get 2.5 Ks back to the car. When I realized this, I almost gave up. I thought, what's the point in trying any further if I can't do it? So I quickly calculated in my head what I was up against. I told my Sherpa what I was doing. He thought, all right, let's do it. He really helped me push on. This was faster than I've ever been up this hill before, and I knew it was going to be tough. Even in my training practice, I hadn't done it before like this. But I had 3 hours to go, and I really had to put the foot down. My energy levels were coming back after I had started eating a lot more, which I'm really lucky that happened. My hydration was still fine, and I pushed on. I started climbing faster than I ever had before, and the end came in sight. My Sherpa really helped me. There was times when I was sitting on that massive hill. The hill is actually a segment called Suicide Hill, and its max gradient can hit 25 to 30%. I just stopped. I just came to a stall. I was dying. I thought, I don't know if I can keep this pace up. It was tough. Once I got my head into gear and started going fast, I just shut down and stopped talking to anyone. I just went straight up and down that hill. I had to ask my Sherpa not to pedal next to me because I was going a bit all over the trail, zigzagging up some hills just to get up there as fast as I can. I didn't talk for probably 2 hours. I went into a pretty dark place. It wasn't a dark place as in a negative place. It was just a dark place as in a void of just concentration. There was just nothing else in my head. Towards the end though, I did perk up. I did start talking more and I did get a lot happier. I'm sure he knew that he was going to expect something like this from me. Now, as I got towards the end, my energy levels dropped and the sun started dropping. The freezing conditions really came into play. The lowest temperature experienced that day was below 5 degrees. It was the end of winter in August. Because I was sweating after the big push I had in the last few hours, I was dripping. I was slowing down a bit on the last few runs because I knew I would have made it. And that's when the cold, the wind, it really started to hurt. Hands started almost cramping up. Legs are just freezing. I thought, I don't think I can keep doing this any further. But there wasn't long to go, so I had to push on. And then so finally, on the 48th run, I got to the top. I ticked it off. We barely had any time to celebrate. We had to grab the stuff and get the hell out of there. We had a 2.5K ride to grab all my gear and take it out of the bush back to the car. I couldn't have done that with my Sherpa. I would have given up for sure. He managed to climb over 2,000 meters that day. He did a lot of things for me, getting me water, getting me food, things like that. And it was a big valuable lesson to me that I do have to make sure I do all this correctly. I did end up logging it to the Everesting Hall of Fame. I'm one of 15,000 people to do a half Everest. Thanks for listening everyone to my Basecamp ride. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. I am only halfway there, but I'm far more prepared than what I was back then. Don't forget, don't sit down, stand up and keep pedaling.